Probably many of you believe that electronics or any complicated equipment is kind of magic as long as you don't have access to information presented in a format that makes the connection between those hieroglyphic symbols that you see on the electronic schematic and the physical part and location of it on the electronic board. Even for a skilled professional, this routine takes the longest time of troubleshooting. In this example, I will show you how to implement an interactive technical documentation using everyday software tools and universally accessible file formats. Let's start with a short example of what I mean by interactive technical documentation. In my example, the user is presented with one-page documentation and from there on, just let your imagination fly. The entry page I chose represents the diagnostic codes printed on a cover of control board for hydronic heating system. Now let's try to click on interactive spots of the picture. You'll be taken directly to the point of interest with just a click of a mouse. Please note that you have to use a JPEG image to be able to edit hotspots on the picture. On the PDF, you can do that. Make a note of this observation and you don't waste your time trying. At the bottom of the page, I place a button with a link to the electronic schematic, which is another HTML page. That has inserted a JPEG image of the schematic. If you found interesting what you have seen till now, let's see what you think about electronics interactive schematic. I just have edited a few interactive hotspots on the JPEG image of the electronic schematic because this is just an example. But if you provide documentation, you have to cover each item. Let's click with the mouse and watch. As you can see, these pictures are with real control board and inserts with text boxes edited using Microsoft Office at your discretion and imagination. You have the freedom to provide whatever you think made life easier for someone doing service to your product. After you edit whatever you would like to include in the picture to identify the part on the board, you have to save the page as a PDF for universal and free possibility of opening the page. If you think that this type of documentation takes a lot of time, you think of how many users will have to go over and over the same routine that you have to do once and for all. Now, everything depends on your attitude. If you want to be considered an engineer that fixes problems, you should try it. Now, when it comes down to what you can use for software, I use Microsoft Expression 4, which is free. Unfortunately, discontinued by Microsoft, but you still be able to find it on internet. Otherwise, just use whatever website making software you feel comfortable with and is able to insert hotspots on the JPEG picture. For the rest, I use Microsoft Office because that is what I had available. You may think that out there are a lot better models, which is true, but how much of the information presented is just animation, and how many of them are accessible and almost free as this one? Good luck and God bless.